This episode is brought to you by Aura.
Jonathan. Every week we speak, the conversation seems to get sidetracked. Whether it's about your favorite protagonists or ambitious characters in fictional stories, you seem to be more comfortable framing your sense of self through the art you consume. And for a while, I'll admit, I was frustrated. I felt like you were actively resistant to any attempt at help. But I see now, the mistake was my own. Jonathan, tell me about your favorite character.
What do you mean?
Ever. In any story. Tell me what you love, what they mean to you, or why you might resonate with them so strongly.
Doc, you don't have
Please, Jonathan. Trust me.
All right. Well, one of my favorite memories as a kid was my mom buying me the box set of the Sonic Adventure series on my birthday. Sonic Adventure 1 and Sonic Adventure 2 for the GameCube in one box. As a massive fan of Sonic X, I was about to explode with excitement the moment I held it in my hands. I played those games to death. Sonic Adventure DX was a lot of fun, but the clear superior game was SA2. Not just for the dope music, the extremely engaging story, the action-packed gameplay, the superb level design, improved Chao Garden, all those paled in comparison, or at least were heavily improved by the inclusion of one thing.
For the people of this planet, I promise you, revenge!
Shadow the Hedgehog. The moment he stepped into frame, I knew he was the coolest character I had ever seen. Even to this day, you would be hard-pressed to show me a character cooler than Shadow. He's edgy, brooding, stylish. He calls himself the ultimate life form. He runs with jet boot skates. He can teleport and slow down time. He says stuff like this.
Faker! I think you're the fake hedgehog around here. You're comparing yourself to me? Ha! You're not even good enough to be my fake.
Cool. You like it? Yes!
As a young, impressionable boy, Shadow was like looking upon heavy metal Jesus.
Wait, a hedgehog?
Yeah.
Your favorite character is the black hedgehog from the Sonic games?
Yes.
Is he still the blue one?
No, he's the black one.
And the hedgehogs are fast.
Yes, they're fast.
Are hedgehogs known for their speed?
Doc, it's not based on a true story.
I wouldn't say I've ever met a fast hedgehog before. Do they eat little pellets from pet stores? Or, I guess they wouldn't be pets in this world, right?
You know, you were the one who said we didn't want to get sidetracked and distracted. Remember?
Yeah, you know what? You're right. Sorry, Jonathan. Yes, the fast black hedgehog, that's fast. Carry on.
Thank you. Where was I? Right. Not only is Shadow really cool, but I also think that he embodies a level of depth, tragedy, and like a specific core character aspect that I, really relate to. Probably more now in adulthood than I ever did as a kid. So, yeah, he means a lot to me. And if you're interested, I can go into more detail why.
Okay. Well then, tell me more.
And speaking of things that are important to me, let's talk about cybersecurity. I don't know about you guys, but I hate spam calls. Every single day I get at least 10 spam calls or sketchy text messages trying to get my personal information. Whether I'm in the shower or I'm trying to eat or I'm trying to read, even while I'm trying to sleep. It's driving me insane. But thankfully, there is a solution. Today's sponsor, Aura. Aura has a VPN with military-grade encryption, here to keep your online information safe, secure, and out of sight from sneaky internet scammers looking to make your life a nightmare. With their data broker opt-out feature, Aura will help you scrub your personal info off of people's search sites and swipe them from data brokers looking to sell your information. That way you can say goodbye to those spam calls and hello to that manga that's been sitting on your shelf for months. But that's not all. Aura has a host of other features designed to keep your information safe, from identity theft protection, antivirus programs, and a 24/7 support center to help you out in a pinch. Life sure is grand. And yours can be too. If you go to aura.com/johnnystar, you will get everything I listed and more during a 2-week free trial. That's aura.com/johnnystar for 14 days of online security free of charge. So sign up today to protect your online information, and the next time you get a call, you can be sure it's probably just your mom. Hey ma. No, I'm doing an ad. I got an Aura sponsorship. I know, it's cool, right? Visit aura.com/johnnystar for a 2-week free trial. To even start getting into how good Shadow's writing is, I want to drive home the point how well crafted Sonic Adventure 2 was. I'm certain it acted as a major turning point for Sega due to the game's success, but as well as for me because it was my introduction to complex storytelling and complicated characters with a lot more going on than just bad guy versus good guy. Don't get me wrong, the story of SA1 is pretty good, but it isn't that crazy of a narrative if we're gonna be honest, and it's not the reason I play the game. I play it because I love the levels, and because Sonic looks like this sometimes. Sonic Adventure 2 is special because it's the first Sonic game, in my opinion, that added the kind of depth that I would end up loving in other stories. It sparked my interest in character complexities, intricate backstories, and puzzle piece-like plot elements. Like seriously, try to put yourself in the mind of a 6-year-old playing this game for the first time and obviously picking the hero story because Sonic is your hero and you want to be like Sonic, following his journey, fighting this other hedgehog who is the coolest thing you've ever seen, but is clearly on the villain side, doing your best to stop Eggman's evil plot, and saving the day. Wow, this is so much fun. Sonic and Friends are such a great team. Good thing they took down the bad guys. Speaking of, I guess I should play the dark story now. Wonder what pure evil these guys get up to.
Eggman steals the research from a military base located on an island to the south. The military's top-secret weapon, Shadow, sealed in the space colony Park, the 7 Chaos Emerald. When all of the keys have been collected, world conquest will be ahead. Sonic Adventure 2, The Dark Side Story. Long live the Eggman Empire.
Holy shit, so Shadow isn't like evil? Some girl he knew died and he wants revenge? But he doesn't seem totally bad. And Rouge is a spy for the government. And Eggman still tried to shoot the laser. And now there's a new tab thing with a question mark. Alright, well clearly things can't get crazier than they are now.
All of you ungrateful humans who took everything away from me will feel my loss and despair.
Is there anything else you want to say?
No.
Ready!
What in the hell is happening?
Sonic Adventure 2 is the highest level of Sonic storytelling, and none of it would be possible without Shadow's inclusion. Well, none of it would be possible without the writers for the game, but you get what I mean. He's the nucleus of the events that take place, and if he didn't work, the whole thing kind of falls apart. Through Shadow's story of a past shrouded in mystery, we watch a traumatized hedgehog fight to uphold the last wish of the person he loved most in the world, Maria. He will stop at nothing to make sure that this goal is fulfilled, or at least he'll stop to save Rouge from blowing up on Prison Island. It's complicated. Shadow may come off as a force for vengeance, but he actually has a good heart and is only doing what he thinks is right. What's even more heartbreaking is finding out that Maria's real wish was for Shadow to save people, not hurt them. Shadow shedding a tear after realizing the mistake he made thanks to Amy is an extremely touching scene. I think this was the first piece of media that ever moved me close to tears. Which gets even wilder when you think about the possibility that Professor Gerald definitely altered Shadow's memory so that he would go on a murder spree following the professor's death. Like I said, it's complicated. But that is the thing that makes Shadow so great. He was my blueprint for what good storytelling and character writing could be, and in a way, he still is. His story is one of pain, sadness, intrigue, hope, redemption, and a whole lot of cool factor, culminating in the best boss fight ever and a sacrifice to protect his late friend's dream.
Wow. For a hedgehog, Shadow is one fascinating character. I think I'm starting to see the appeal.
Yeah, he is. I would say so. He was awesome. And then they gave him a gun.
They gave him a what?
So you know how Sonic Adventure 2 technically had 3 endings, but it was really leading to just one of them. Well, how about 11 endings? And all of them are their own endings, sort of? Shadow the Hedgehog feels like a game that should not exist. It's clunky, movement sucks, the level designs are hit or miss, Shadow looks really off holding guns bigger than his whole body. And why does he cock the gun like that? But even with these issues, the game somehow works. And that's because, again, like Sonic Adventure 2, Shadow works. The game has a lot of personality, from the weapons you use to the abilities you have, the way you interact with other characters, and of course, Shadow himself.
Damn it. I did it. Where's that damn 4th Chaos Emerald? Damn it. I'm going to destroy this damn planet. Damn you.
You know, I'm starting to see why my mom told me to stop playing this game. After finding out that some alien warlord has his DNA inside of our edgy hedgehog protagonist, and that he was created for some kind of promise, Shadow is off to find out the truth about who he really is. Sonic Adventure 2 played with Shadow's history a bit close to the vest. You never really knew if anything Shadow said was true or just implanted memories from his creator. But it doesn't really matter, because Shadow chose to believe that they were real, or at least he cared enough about the Maria in his mind to keep going. In Sonic Heroes, part of Team Dark's plotline is that Shadow has amnesia after the events of Sonic Adventure 2, which leads him to think he might be one of Eggman's clones. It also has one of the most badass Shadow the Hedgehog lines of all time.
You'll regret this, Doctor. Even if I'm not real, I'm still the ultimate life form, Shadow the Hedgehog. That's called motherfucking bars, nigga!
But Shadow the Hedgehog is all about uncovering the real truth. Shadow has to decide what version of the truth and his true identity he wants to accept. That internal struggle of giving into his dark desires or being a good guy plays out in the gameplay. Actually, now that I think about it, Shadow the Hedgehog was my first introduction to decision-based gameplay, where the choices you make decide where the story goes. Completing all of the endings and stages gives you the final real canon ending. But honestly, saying that feels kind of weird. In other games where you get a different ending or tackle the game from different perspectives, they feel more like options for the player. Choices that you, as the player, would pick depending on the kind of story you want to explore. Shadow the Hedgehog is different because all of the different paths and endings are in a way an aspect of Shadow. Because he himself is a confused mess with a complicated past, he feels lost. Going down all of these different roads are an extension of that feeling of being lost. These endings are Shadow, or at the least a version of him that could have existed. Windows into the inner struggle that he is contending with and the kind of individual he wants to be. Shadow ultimately decides to do away with the past, letting go of what was expected of him from Black Doom and Professor Gerald, following that big heart Maria always believed in and doing what he thinks is right, like shooting an alien ship with a space laser. This is the point where I think the relatability of Shadow starts to come in. For how cool, edgy, brooding, whatever words people use to describe Shadow, at the end of the day, this is a traumatized character who had purpose and a family. To then have that purpose taken, distorted, and used as a haunting memory to subjugate him. Shadow tossed away the image of Maria and the Professor as a show of letting go, which is a good ending for the game. But anyone who has ever been traumatized or left with emotional scars knows it's not that simple to move on. You never really let go, and that was a lesson Shadow would soon learn. Dark Beginnings is my favorite piece of Sonic media ever created. It is beautifully animated, expertly scored, and directed with visuals that make my brain explode. 3 animated shorts designed to not only be a refresher for Shadow's history and provide context for the start of Shadow's story and generations, but also to be a window into Shadow's current emotional state. One that believed he had overcome the pain and anxiety of what happened on the Ark all those years ago, and now is being tasked with facing it once again. Through generations, we learn Black Doom has returned, and is mentally torturing Shadow to awaken his latent Black Arm's abilities to turn him into the perfect vessel of destruction. As Shadow makes his way through past moments and defeats old foes, Black Doom forces Shadow to relive the most traumatic events of his life. And to add on to the stress, he comes face to face with ghosts, Maria and the professor. I remember someone mentioned this on Twitter, but it's really telling how Shadow reacts to his two proverbial fathers. Black Doom he meets with pure rage and contempt, but with the professor, Shadow looks terrified. The father he believed in turned mad at the end of his life. It's a feeling that's difficult to shake, which I think was the point of this whole ordeal. Outside of stopping Black Doom and setting the timeline right, this gives Shadow a chance to actually come to terms with his grief. Not to detach from it or bury it deep within him, but to finally accept the pain. I think for Shadow, moving on won't come from walking off into the sunset and leaving the old you behind. It comes when that you accept both the pain and the freedom within is also you. Accepting that maybe you'll never get over losing Maria, but acknowledging the new friends you've made. It's okay to miss her. It's okay to be sad, but to not let the pain overtake you is what makes you strong. It's an aspect of Shadow that I think I can connect with. He has a big heart through the scowl. He shows up when he's needed and won't see harm come to the people he cares for. That's who Shadow is. A grieving protector. And super fucking cool.
That's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
I've played almost every official Sonic game ever released. I have a strong affinity for these characters and Sonic lore. These stories hold weight to me, especially Shadow's story for all the reasons I just yapped on and on about. I have fond memories playing these games and enjoying these stories. But if I had to think of my favorite moment from any Sonic game, it once again involves Shadow. Sonic the Hedgehog, or Sonic 06, is a very complicated, messy game with horrible mechanics, an insane plot, and just super weird choices from front to back. I don't love this game like I do others, but I do love moments from it. Shadow's story here is one without much reference to previous events in other games, but more so reconfirms where Shadow stands because of the things he went through. Now an agent of Gun, Shadow faces off against the literal manifestation of destruction and darkness, Mephiles.
Oh, how ironic fate can be. I would never have believed I would be resurrected through your shade. I thank you, Shadow the Hedgehog.
Such a fitting contrast, and kind of funny how it resembles the battle between Naruto and Kurama in a lot of ways. More ways than I have time to explain, maybe another time. This pairing also produced my favorite Shadow moment of all time. Shadow standing defiantly against a godlike being with his friends at his side, declaring no matter what happens he will continue to fight, even if it means facing the whole world itself.
If the world chooses to become my enemy, I will fight like I always have.
Throughout this portion of Sonic 06, Mephiles has tried time and time again to persuade Shadow to his side, using his distrust for humanity and their need for conflict as a point of contention. But as you know, Shadow has heard all of this before, and won't be turned so easily. Mephiles acts as the representation of the darkness that existed within Shadow, and it is this darkness that Shadow no longer acknowledges. This act of defiance against a force that seeks the destruction of all things, even when outmatched, is the kind of thing that speaks to Shadow's true character. It is the thing that dreams are made of.
The ultimate life form.
Chaos control.
Space calling prayer.
Supersonic collision.
Team
Power. Maria.
Professor Gerald, the truth about 50 years ago.
Shadow is a complicated character, but he won't let that stop him. Not his past, not his grief, not his trauma. As long as he can keep going, he will. And I think that's something I want to take with me for as long as I can. So, did I, pass your test?
Can't pass or fail therapy, Jonathan. The hedgehog of it all notwithstanding.
Uh-huh. Alright, well, did you, I don't know, get what you were looking for out of this little rant?
I think so. You know, you gave me a lot to think about, Jonathan. I feel as though Shadow reminds me of other characters that I like in stories. Ones that are more complex than they let on. Ones that, like Shadow, have trouble opening up to the people closest to them. I think people may look at him as the dark part of ourselves, but in reality, he's actually the light shining through. Maybe even the real version, the part we don't appreciate enough.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah. You know, Johnny, he never really appreciated me the way that I wanted him to, so I can see the correlation.
Johnny? You mean yourself? When did you start referring to yourself in the third person?
Yeah. No, I was talking about myself. I made a mistake there. Wouldn't have been talking about anybody else.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just so used to calling you Jonathan. I forget you go by Johnny. My apologies. Let's table that for now, since this is the end of our session. Same time next week?
Yeah. Sure.